Hello everybody and welcome to today's session. So excited to see you here. Welcome to today's live session. It's all about IELTS Speaking Part 2, Never Run Out of Ideas. So students have been asking me recently about how to generate ideas in Part 2, particularly Part 2 of IELTS Speaking. So today's session is an answer to that. I'm going to give you 5, 6, 7, or maybe 8 ways that you can generate ideas before and during your test. So I hope that works out. I hope you enjoy it. Let's begin with a little bit of this.
When faced with a topic, don't panic or freeze. Use stories, examples, just speak with ease. Think past, think future, describe what you see. And structure your answer like A, B, and C. Hey!
Slightly Indian feel.
Welcome to the Key Speaking Academy.
So welcome, guys.
And welcome to the Key Speaking Academy.
Exactly. Nora, you're cooking. Excellent. Lovely to see you here. I hope you're making me something special and something very, very tasty. We've got KNM all the way from Bangladesh. Hello, nice to see you. We've got from Sudan, Yusra. Great. Mohammadin Shalfaldin, lovely to see you. First time. Great. Welcome. Hello, all the way from Taiwan. Hi, Brian. The Brick. Lovely to see you, of course. We've got Fatima Zuxro. Interesting. Paul, I'm very well. Thank you very much. You're looking very young there. Good to see you here. Hello, Daniela, as well. Dr. Haider is here. Mao Tuan, waving. Lovely. Zarina. Some familiar faces and some new faces, which is great. Lovely to see you here. Nora says it's a vegetable pizza. I'll just have a small slice. Thank you, Nora. Thank you. If you put that in DHL for me, that'd be lovely. So, Mohammed from Iran, great to see you here as well. We've got a few from Iran. Marjan Mogdam as well, great. Shiva from Italy, good to see you. Buongiorno. And all the way from Paris, great. Frederic, lovely to see you. Now then, let's get into it because today, ideas around IELTS Speaking Part 2. That is what we're looking at. You may have noticed, by the way, I've got a new microphone. I've been like a boy in a toy shop playing with the toys. I mean, this is great. The problem before my microphone is I couldn't get to my keyboard, right? So my keyboard is like this. But now, because this goes up and down, I can actually see my keyboard. So hopefully fewer typing mistakes today. I hope so anyway. Let's see. Let's find out how never to run out of ideas in IELTS Speaking Part 2. Today's session will be about an hour, more or less. I'm going to give you, 3 things. We're going to look, first of all, at your go-to IELTS website. Guess which one that is. I'll give you 8 ways to generate ideas quickly and more ways to practice at the end. Okay. There is a PDF for today's session, and the PDF we will get ready for you at least by the end of the session, or maybe half an hour or an hour after the session. It looks like this, I think. 8 ways to generate ideas. So this will be ready soon. So after the live lesson, you can look in the description or the messages and you'll find that there, right? Okie dokie. Good. Let's have a look. First of all, I have a question for you guys. Especially those of you preparing IELTS. I know not everybody is preparing IELTS, but those of you who are, what are the different categories of part 2 questions in IELTS speaking? For example, people is one, right? What are the different categories? Just make a note in the chat and let's see if you know them. Mustafa Carmel, I didn't read it because I can't see it. There are so many texts coming up on the screen. I can only see some of them and I only press some, but delighted to see you here today. 20s, I never really understand what that means. We are 20s. What do you mean exactly? Is that your name? Or is that you are 20 years old in your 20s? Well, obviously I love you as you love me, but tell me more. Right, Lydia, talking about categories, excellent. Place, yep. Paris also says places, excellent, good. Zarina, you've put events, places, experience, and things. Aha, interesting. Zara says events. Zoe says stories. Adventures, interesting. Space, okay, that's a topic. Okay, interesting. Time, maybe. We're getting a mixture of categories and topics here. That's fine. DN2136. Very well done. Very good. Excellent. Giona, yeah. Yes. Perfect. You're there. So when we're talking about categories, right? Generally, we're talking about things like people, describe a person you work with, places, describe a city you've visited, events, describe a wedding you've been to or a party you enjoyed, maybe, activity, describe a hobby that you do or an outdoor sport you've watched or practiced. Things is the other one, which can be a book, a film, a toy, microphone, things like that, okay? Now, these are very wide. Topics is what some of you said, like space, environment. So these are much more specific, right? So you've got your categories and you've got your topics. Part 2, most of the topics will fit into this, right? So space, it could be a thing. It could be an activity. If you're talking a time that you looked, describe a time you looked into space. That could be an activity, right? Describe a planet, could be a thing. Environment, describe a polluted city, it's a place, right? So it's useful to think of categories because it can help you organize your preparation. Okay. Excellent. So other topics, people have put adventures is a topic. Yep. School is a topic. Historic buildings is a topic. All of these are topics, right? As is technology, history. Yeah, exactly. Those are topics. We're focusing more on categories. Let's move on. Before I show you the different, 8 ways to generate ideas, let me just remind you of your go-to IELTS website. Your go-to IELTS website is not that one, is this one. It's the Keith Speaking Academy. By the way, if you don't know that, some of you may not know, but I do have... Hello? How did that happen? I do have a website called the Keith Speaking Academy, and it's disappeared. Come back. It's at, oh, it's gone. Where are you? It's at keithspeakingacademy.com, right? And you can check it out over here. What you can find here are, well, information about the IELTS Speaking, part 1, 2, and 3, different topics. You've got free live lessons. So if you want to download PDFs, watch a lesson, there's a whole range of lessons down here on all sorts of topics, health, medicine, environment. You can just click and you straight away you'll get to a lesson. You can get a PDF, you can watch the lesson, or you can study it straight away here. Okay. The live lessons also have, well, there's a course related to this, which is called the Vocabulary Vault. If you want pronunciation files from the best live lessons, you can get that here in the Vocabulary Vault. Otherwise, all the free live lessons are here, absolutely free. There's online courses as well. If you're interested, the IELTS Speaking Gold course is now broken down into smaller courses, but you can find out all the information here at the bottom. If you want a free course, you can get a free course here, Crack IELTS Speaking Part 1, and that'll take you to a free course where you can enroll for free. Lovely. That's one way to help you study. So as well as YouTube, make sure you're connected with the website to get lots more information, PDFs and things that can help you. Lots of it for free, also paid courses if you're interested. Okay, so that's it, the Keith Speaking Academy website. Let's move on. I always check in with you guys just as I move on. Daniela very kindly says top-notch courses. Great, lovely. Snow says IELTS Speaking Part 2 I've tested was good price for shopping. Very challenging. Right, interesting. Yes, great. Okay, so let's kick in. 8 ways to generate ideas quickly. The first way is what I call break down the question. The breakdown question. Break down the question is basically where you divide the question into smaller parts. Break down the question into smaller parts. Let's imagine, right, that you've got describe a plan you had to change recently. And you're thinking, describe a plan I had to change recently. I don't know. What a plan I changed? What did I do? And you're thinking and thinking, and you just can't think of a plan you changed recently. So the way to handle this is to break down the question. First, think of plans generally. Just think of plans, right? So what I mean is describe a plan, any plan. Just think of a plan. Plans could be study plan, right? Studying for IELTS. It could be a holiday plan. Where am I going on holiday next summer? It could be a dinner plan. What am I going to have for dinner? Good question. What am I going to have for dinner? I don't know. It could be my weekly shopping list. What am I going to buy? Am I going to buy vegetables, chicken, meat? Or your work schedule. What am I going to do tomorrow? You know, with my work schedule, every evening, I take 2 or 3 minutes just to plan the key activities the next day. These are plans. So by breaking down the question, which is too much, into smaller bits, you then say, okay, what are the kind of plans? And then ask yourself, did I change this plan? Or could I have changed it? It doesn't have to be true. You can think, oh, dinner plans. I was going to cook rice, but I discovered there's no rice in the house. So I had to cook noodles. It doesn't have to be true. I can make it up. But you can just think of something that you changed. For For example, holiday plan. You know, we were thinking of going to Paris, but we've changed our mind. Something came up. There were cheaper flights to Italy, so we're going to Italy. So the key thing here really is break down the question. Make it smaller, and that can help you generate an idea more quickly. Yeah. Like Elvira says, February plans. What's your plan for February? Future plans for your life and your career. So they can be very, very big. I mean, Elvira, it's a great point. Plans can be big, but they can be very, very small. You can think of your life plan or your plan for dinner, right? It can be super big or super small. The idea is to start thinking differently, right? Brainstorming ideas. Break down the question. Another very simple example. Here's an example here. I was going to study on Saturday, but we had to visit family members instead. That's the idea. That's the idea. That's not my answer. My answer is going to be a lot longer. But the idea is that. Or I was going to make noodles for dinner, but we were out of noodles, so I decided to make a curry with rice. Just to be clear. Absolutely fine. Very, very simple, right? So plans. You can have career plans. I have plans for the future. Good. Great. It could be your immigration plan. Exactly. If you're taking IELTS, maybe you're planning to immigrate. So there's things you can talk about. Elvira, I'm very well. Thank you. Okay, excellent. That is number one, right? Break down the question. Let's move to number two. And number two is this. Here we go. Develop the bullet points, or the 5 W's, as I'm going to call them. Now, if you're a teacher, you will know the 5 W's. If not, don't worry. Let's imagine this same question, right? Describe a plan you had to change recently. You have to say when it happened, what happened, why you changed the plan. Okay? So these are called bullet points, right? There's 1, 2, 3 bullet points. The key is to develop the bullet points. That is how you generate ideas, smaller ideas. So you have your big idea, like your plan for the future or your plan for dinner. But as you're talking for 2 minutes, you've got lots of small ideas that you will develop, right? I'm going to show you a student who is answering this question. Tell me the mistake they're making. Okay? Tell me the mistake you think they are making. Ready? Here we go. So the plan I'm going to tell you about is me taking my daughter to the cinema, but in the end I couldn't. So when it happened was last week, it was last Wednesday. I was going to take my daughter to the cinema in the evening, but in the end I had to work overtime, so I couldn't. So yeah, that's why I changed the plan. And I felt very bad about it. Yeah, it was a shame. Yeah. That was last Wednesday. Yeah, because of work. Yeah. So, what was the mistake? Did you spot the mistake? Let's have a look. Caroline Doan, you're asking about the course. Just go to the Keith Speaking Academy, click on the online courses, and you can click and purchase straight away. Yeah. He says, yeah is okay. I mean, that's natural English. That's okay. Lack of great idea. Right. Okay. Repetition. Interesting. The answer wasn't neat. That's interesting. Neat. Wasn't structured, maybe. Okay. Polash Chandra Karmaka directly answered, not expanded. Okay, interesting. Sharon Islam, I got 4.5. Thank you. Short answer doesn't follow a sequence. Okay, interesting. So I think when we're talking about mistakes and problems, it's different. I think, yes, the problem with that, some hesitation, not very fluent, maybe too much yeah. But the mistake was not developing the bullet points. I just gave one sentence for each bullet point. As somebody said, direct answer, no expanding of the answer. That's the problem, right? That's the mistake, I would say. So here, the big mistake is to only give one sentence per bullet point. And many students do that. They look at the bullet point, they give one sentence, and after a minute, you're finished. It's too short. It's much too short. What you should do is develop each bullet point. You can give background, setting, and context. Okay. This is assuming you use the bullet points. So just to be clear, IELTS Speaking Part 2, you can follow the bullet points. If you do, develop each one. But you don't have to follow the bullet points. You can just talk and talk and talk. That's fine as well. Okay. If you do follow the bullet points, develop them. How do you develop them? Give the background, give the setting, give the context to everything that's happening there. Okay. What we'll do, we'll watch the same student who has learned from me to develop the bullet points. Let's watch the student again who doesn't make this mistake, but they show us how to develop the bullet point with background, setting, and context, right? See if you can notice how they develop the bullet points. Okay, great. Let's do it. Let's have a look together. So this is the same student, but much better. So the plan I want to tell you about is when I took my daughter to the cinema. So it happened last Wednesday. In the evening, my daughter loves films and the cinema. So a couple of weeks before, we had decided to go to the cinema together one evening. We had chosen a film that we both liked, and that was going to be on Wednesday. However, the day before, I discovered I had to work overtime at work. I work in a factory and they're very busy at the moment, so I was asked to work extra time. It was difficult to say no, so I agreed, and therefore I had to tell my daughter we couldn't go to the cinema that day. we would have to reschedule. Talking about how I felt about it, yes, I was a bit embarrassed, a bit upset, but I think she understood, and we have rescheduled to do it another day. Right. Can you see the difference, right? How the candidate, the student, me, developed the answer, right? So Ali says, can you give us examples? Sure, yes. Let me show you that example in detail. So I said, develop each bullet point, things you can do, talk about the background, the setting, and the context. Let's have a look, right? This is what I said. I said, so the plan I want to tell you about is, that's a great way to start an answer, right? It's very clear for the examiner and clear for you. When I took my daughter to the cinema. So it happened last Wednesday in the evening. That's the first bullet point. But then I give background info. Well, my daughter loves films and the cinema. Background info about my daughter. And then I give the setting. So it's not only Wednesday, but a couple of weeks before, we had decided to go to the cinema together one evening. Okay, it's the setting. A couple of weeks before, this is what happened. We had decided, great use of the past perfect, spot on. We had chosen, past perfect, oh, lovely language, a film that we both liked. And that was going to be on Wednesday. So it's not just, last Wednesday. It's the setting, it's the background. So background about my daughter and the setting 2 weeks before. However, the day before, I discovered I had to work overtime. And then, right, this is why I give background information. I work in a factory. So I'm just telling you more about me and my daughter. The background information is the simplest way to do this, right? Oh dear. Burns, sort out the chat, please. So, however, the day before, I discovered I had to work overtime at work. I work in a factory and they're very busy at the moment, so I was asked to work extra time. Okay, so that's giving background information. And then I carried on. It was difficult to say no. I agreed, and therefore I had to tell my daughter. So this is what happened. And then finally talking about how I felt about it. So you can see, hopefully, giving the setting, background information is a great way of developing your answers, right? So remember that when you're developing the bullet points, develop with background, setting, and context. Okay. Right. So I've talked here about the bullet points. What about the 5 W's? So the 5 W's, teachers will know, the 5 W's are these. Ho, here, hen, hat, and hi. Those aren't the 5 W's. They're missing the 5 W's. They are, of course, who, where, when, what, and why, right? Those are the 5 W's. So, as I said, you can follow the bullet points, but you don't have to. You can just use these, right? Describe a plan you changed. Well, who was it? Well, oh yeah, it was with my daughter. We were going to go to the cinema. Where? Well, my daughter lives at home. She's still very young. And this was last Wednesday when we had planned to go out together. What we were going to go to the cinema to watch the brand new Marvel film because my daughter loves films and I had some free time. But then, blah, blah, blah. And so the 5 W's are super simple to just develop any answer. If you're stuck in an answer, just think of the W's and start talking. There's always a way to do it, right? Super, super simple. Excellent. Good. Those are the 5 W's. Let's stroll on. We've had number 1, number 2. I'm going to move on to number 3. Well, good point. And how? Yes, exactly. Yes, that's the extra one. Setting and background. Yes. Serena, practice makes perfect. So true. Very, very, very true. T, I agree. Practice speaking every day. This is the way to improve. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more very, very shortly. 5 W's and 1 H. I was making it super simple. You've just made it simple. Excellent. So this answer now is sharper than a freshly sharpened pencil. Very, very good. Excellent. I'm going to move on to number 3. Practice describing people, places, things, and events in great detail. So we've mentioned practice makes perfect, right? I say it wasn't me. Somebody else said that. Who was it? It was T said that. Said practice speaking every day. Practice describing, well, do you remember the 5 categories? People, places, things, events, in great detail. You see, many students, they just tell the facts and they forget the detail and the description, right? And the detail is where you can develop your answer and just generate lots of ideas. This student, I'm going to show you another student. He forgot the detail, forgot the description, and just focused on the facts. Have a look at the answer and see how maybe it's too simple. Have a look at this answer. So recently I went into the countryside with some friends. We went hiking to some mountains not far from my home. We went up the mountain, some lovely views. It was a nice sunny day. And then we walked back home. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Now, that's okay, right? I mean, it's okay, but it's too short. And it's too short because the student just told the facts and forgot the detail and the description. What I think is, I think you should imagine you are a fly, bzzz, or a drone zooming in and zooming out, right? Do you guys, I'm sure you know what a drone is, right? Maybe, well, let's just make it clear to everybody. This is a drone. So drones are these. They can fly everywhere, right? Now, if you imagine you are a drone or the drone is looking at the scene, you'll get lots of extra description, right? Let me give you an example. Have a look at this drone. Right? So if you're describing a place or an activity or an event, imagine a drone going around and imagine the detail that they get there. And so here, okay, here, if you are a drone, you can imagine that description of the countryside, you're flying around, and you can give a lot more detail and description. Let's watch this student add detail and description to that same question about countryside. Okay, here we go. So recently, a few weeks ago, actually, I went to the countryside with some friends. We went trekking or hiking up in the mountains. It's about an hour's bus drive from Manchester. As we got into the countryside, you could see the grass seemed to have died. It was all brown. I guess in the winter, the grass is just not very green. But you could see patches of snow in different places, even some frozen lakes because it was so cold. And yeah, in the distance, there were big mountains, a whole mountain range. And it was absolutely gorgeous. Some beautiful views. We went to the top of a mountain and you could see over the lake and the valley. The sun was shining, even though it was quite a cloudy day. It was a little overcast, but the sun was peeping through. And it was great. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so you can see there the description. It's almost like the drone going across, lots of extra detail. And by thinking like a drone, taking different points of view, you can add detail, description, and that is going to give you more ideas and better development of your answer. Okay? Great. And if you're preparing like this, you can be checking vocabulary, learning new vocabulary, and so on and so on. We've got somebody here. I live in the countryside. It's surrounded by mountains and forests. Great. Think about the drone flying across and what they would see. Okay. Excellent. Good. That's number 3, adding that detail. Great detail. Elvira is chiming in. This is nice. Breathtaking mountains. I was shocked. My jaw dropped when I saw them. Exactly. Good. Very, very good. Let me move on to number 4. Number 4, well, this is answering the question that somebody said up here. It was about how do I practice? How do I practice? Somebody said, well, how do I practice speaking? Okay, here's a couple of ideas. So to generate ideas, practice 30, 60, 90, 120 talks. Okay, 30, 60, 90, 120 talks are, you take a question, find a question, let's say, or take a question. Talk for 30 seconds about it. And then think about how to develop it more. And then try again, but talking for 60 seconds. Then again, think about how to develop it more, and then continue up to 120 seconds. Okay? So you're doing a short talk, a 1-minute talk, a minute and a half, and then a 2-minute talk. And this gradual step up is going to help you generate more ideas. Because the first 30 seconds, you can record it. You can get on your phone, record it, listen back and think, how can I improve that? Get more ideas, more detail, more background, more setting, maybe. And then do it again for 60 seconds. And again for 90. The same question. And again for 120. Okay. And it's a great way to practice, right? And you'll really see how you start generating more ideas, how you grow in confidence as you're speaking, and how you are able to speak for 2 minutes. Okay, it's a really, really simple technique. I'll help you, right, to get questions. I've put some sample questions here, and I'll ask Burns if she can share this also. The link, or you can just scan the code. There's a Q code here. Let me make it a bit bigger, maybe. Try this link, and I'll put this in the description later, but let me show you what it looks like on the screen. It takes you to a wheel of questions. So if you click, you can see you get a question, right? Describe a famous person you know. Then you click the clock and you time yourself for 30 seconds. This is called Flippity. It's great. If you're a teacher, go and check out Flippity. It's really good. So I've made lots of part 2 questions for you in the wheel, and then you just go in, click. It's a random question. So you have to improvise and then speak for 30 seconds, and then 60, and then 90, right? Let's change the question. Describe a public building. Okay. Oh, there's a spelling mistake. Never mind. Set for 30 seconds. Let's do it. So, a public building. There's a public building in my city. The one I'm going to talk about is the town hall. It's the main government building in my city. And it's where the local government are based. It's actually near the beach. It's strange, but the building is close to the beach and it has a lovely view over the sea. I actually visited it a couple of days ago. 30 seconds, right? That's good. That'll do. 30 seconds. And then I do it again and again. And if you like, these might help you to develop your answers, right? So go and check out Flippity. And go and choose a question. And that's it, right? Super simple way to practice. And it can be quite fun as well. You have to improvise. And the ability to improvise is so important in IELTS speaking, right? Okay. Right. Oh, you've been trying it. Great. I got describe a time someone asked for your opinion. Yep. And so you can practice with this, right? Here's a good question. A little practical question. Do they ask questions on uncommon situations in a country? For instance, rainforest from a student in a country with only deserts. I would say no, right? In IELTS speaking, it is created for students around the world. So normally the topics are very, very open, right? That allow you to include everybody. So they will not ask, describe a desert, you know. They won't. They may say, describe a place in nature you like. That's very wide. Describe a countryside place you like. Again, it could be very, very wide. So it's very unlikely they will be specific because they know it's a test for people around the world, right? If you don't have experience of a question, just say to the examiner, I don't have much experience about this, but, and then talk about something related or close. The examiner will never change your topic, right? You can't say change. No, you have to say something so you can talk around it. You can imagine. I've never been to a desert, but I imagine it's very hot, difficult, and sweaty. I've seen deserts on the films, and I think it would be exciting, but maybe the temperature will be very difficult to handle, blah, 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 blah. You can imagine, right? That is a key way if you get a difficult question. Snow says, I'll use this after the live. Please do. Yes. Describe an important decision. Great. So these are all questions you can practice. Yep. Can you show the QR code again? Yes, I can. There you go. Excellent. Good. So you've all got different questions. You can all start practicing straight after this session. Okay, let's move on. And so number 5 is an extension. It's something similar, but an extension. So I'm going to give you here another one. This is practicing improvising. Improvising means without preparation. So let's try this. You can have a look, you guys, yourselves at this one. Again, it's flippity. But what I've done here is this, right? I've taken the who at the top, the what, the when, and the where. And you have to talk about, well, let's spin. You have to talk about a child in a traffic jam 3 months from now in a school hallway. Right? This is not an IELTS activity. This is an improvisation activity, but it will really get you better at speaking. So maybe just for 30 seconds, let me try and talk about this. So I'm going to talk about my niece who is quite young. She's 8 years old. And I think, well, I know she's going on holiday 3 months from now. So kind of late spring, she will be going with her family to Paris. I expect there'll be lots of traffic jams in Paris, and she may find it difficult to get back home. And she may even miss some of her classes. So when she's in the school hallway, she'll have to explain to her teacher why she missed the class. Right? It's just improvisation. Don't worry about vocabulary. Don't worry about accuracy and mistakes. Forget that. Focus on improvisation. Getting your brain clicking, ticking, ticking. Idea, right? It's not about good English or accuracy. It's just ideas. Focus on the ideas. So you can go and check that out. You can go and try it later, right? It's a tool to spark creativity. Absolutely. But 10 minutes a day for a couple of weeks and you'll notice the difference. You really will. Yeah. It forces your brain to work. It really does. Patricia, I'm not a magic teacher. It's Flippity. I discovered Flippity. They're great. It's a great way of using it for English teaching, right? Why are you so funny? I don't know. I think it's something to do with being born in August, maybe. Okay, excellent. Brian says, I got a friend watching a ball game in the forest in the afternoon. Yeah, try that one for 30 seconds. And then a minute. And then a minute and a half. I challenge you. Okay, excellent, good. Let me get a quick drink. Let me take Brian off just for the moment. And let me find, I can never find it. It's the jingle. Ba-dab-shee-be-doo-be-doo-be-doo-be, bum-bum-bum. Right. Number 6 is personalize your answer. So here's a question for you guys. What makes you an interesting person to talk to? Are you attractive? Are you ambitious? Are you a good storyteller? Are you charismatic? Are you funny? Tell me in the chat, what makes you an interesting person to talk to? Thank you, Ibrahim. Yes, I'm very happy with it. Thank you, Kamal Ravshanov. Great comment. Thank you. So tell me, what makes you an interesting person to talk to? That's a great answer, Leah. Hey, Arlen, David, good to see you here. Hey, Susie, great answer. Hi, Monica. Let me start with Zarina. All of the above. I love it. Great. Okay. So here's my answer, right? I have a different answer for you. My answer is, what makes you an interesting person to talk to? The answer is you, actually. Just you. Because you are different from everybody else. Your history, your story, your family, your life is totally different from everybody else. So add bits of you to your answers. And I call this personalize the answer. You can reveal yourself, your personality, your ideas, your thoughts. Okay? What often happens is, because it's a speaking test, people just think of the facts. Do you remember describing the countryside? And the student, me, was saying, well, I went to the countryside, I went up the mountain, it was a lovely view, and went back home. There's nothing about me, right? But my life experience is different. It makes me different. So I could say, well, I went to the countryside, we went up a mountain. You know, as a kid, I used to love going up the mountain with my dad. I would follow my dad up the mountains, and he would always talk about politics. And I didn't understand, but it was really interesting. And then at the top of the mountain, we had these beautiful views. And so I can talk about me as a person. It doesn't matter if you're funny, attractive, ambitious, charismatic. It doesn't matter. You are different and unique. And if you put something of you into the test, the examiner will love it because it's great communication. Great communicators personalize. So think about it. Think about personalizing the answer, right? Just show something of yourself, your personality, your ideas, and your thoughts, right? Okay, very, very simple. Good myself, my family, good all for me. Yeah, you can talk about your connection with your family, your experience. Sarah says, I'm a writer. You'll get things between two, a poems and memorize to remember our story be eternity. Oh, you are a writer, Sarah. I can tell. Absolutely. So you can bring that aspect of your personality into the test. Because do remember, IELTS Part 1 and Part 2 is about you. Part 3 is more general, but Part 2 is about you. That rhymes. Part 2 is about you. So personalize your answer, right? I am human. Wi-Fi, always be connected. Okay, awesome. Good. The other thing, the other thing that makes you interesting, right, is not only you, and listen, you are interesting. Every one of you is interesting. It's you and your culture. And this is something you can bring into the test. I recommend you practice talking about your own culture in English, especially music, food, literature, film, clothes. Practice talking about these because this makes you different. It's your culture. Even your family culture or your city culture makes you different. And if you practice talking about your culture in English, you can learn the words you need in English or ways of describing things from your culture. From your culture, not cultural, in English. For example, right? Imagine I don't know. Imagine you have a special kind of food and you don't know the name in English. In fact, it probably doesn't exist in England or America, but you want to talk about it because it's your culture. So you may say something like, well, it's a kind of spicy meatball, but made from vegetables. I don't know if you have it in your country, for example, right? So think about these things, particularly these things, and your culture and how you can connect them, right? Excellent. Good. Nice. Good. I'm just reading your comments very quickly. Shujie, I think there's a reason I got a 7. That's great. Well done, you. Yes, you are late. Yes. Nahdid Al-Mahfouz says, when I was talking, I forget the idea. Yeah, you have to focus. You need to be very relaxed in the test, well rested, well fed, and plenty of water, because you must be focused. It's so easy that your mind goes. You need to stay focused just for the test. It's only 10, 15 minutes, right? But yeah, important. Okay, good. Another question here from Johan Thilanka. Is it possible to quote somebody in our answers? Yes, you can. Yes. I mean, you could say, as blah, blah, blah said, right? As John Lennon said, all you need is love. La, da, 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 all you need is love. As blah, blah said, and then give the quote. Keep it simple, right? La, da, 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 da. Let's move on. That was number 6. You. Talk about you. What's number 7? Have we got time for number 7? Oh, wow. I think we might just have time. Number 7 is something I mentioned earlier, but I'll say it again. It's imagine or invent it. So if you get a question where you have no direct personal experience, either imagine it or invent it. For example, somebody says, somebody, somebody, there's you and the examiner. Somebody else? No, the examiner says, describe or talk about a movie that you enjoyed watching in the cinema. And you think, oh my God, I've never been to the cinema. Right? So you can say, well, I've never been to the cinema or a cinema before, but I imagine it will be quite interesting. And then describe what it might be like to watch a film in a cinema, right? I imagine going to the cinema might be quite interesting because there's a big screen and you get lots of... it's difficult, right? It'd be interesting because they get high resolution screen. The images are very vivid and seem real. And often there's this surround sound effect in the cinema. At least that's what I'm told. So I think it will be quite exciting. It would be quite exciting. So you describe what it might be like. You imagine it, right? Imagine it. And then you could describe another film that you've seen on TV. Because the point is you need to describe a movie or a film. So you must describe a film. But just say and describe another film that you've seen on TV. Excuse me. You could pretend you saw it in the cinema, or you could just be honest. It's fine. Okay. B, invent it. Again, well, make it up. So imagine the examiner asks you, talk about a group project that you worked on. And you think, I've never done a group project. You could say, well, at school, my classmates and I had to organise a football competition. Now, maybe this wasn't true, or maybe it's just something you did in the break time, right? Organising your football at break. So maybe it's not a real project, but you don't have to tell the examiner it's not a real project. You can exaggerate, embellish, just make it something similar. Even organising the football teams it's fine. Okay, great, good. So, guys, we've been through a lot of things, right? We've been through 8 different ways to generate ideas. 8 ways. I've been through 7. We've talked about the categories. We have talked about breaking down the question, remember? We've talked about developing the bullet points and the 5 W's. We've talked about practicing describing in great detail, imagining you are the drone. We've talked about these 30, 60, 90, 120 talks, and you can even go and practice those later. We've talked about improvising and a way to practice. We've talked about personalizing your answer. Make it more personal, more interesting, more colorful. Whoever you are interesting and different. And we've talked about imagine or invent it. Number 8 is in the PDF. So you'll have to go and get the PDF because we're out of time. There will be a PDF for this. Later, you can come back maybe in 20, 30 minutes and we will have a link to the PDF. It may be there now, I'm not sure. But it'll come back later and you can get 8 ways to generate ideas quickly. Okay. Excellent. Final thing is download the PDF. Also, more ways to practice. You're asking about more ways to practice. Do remember, there is the IELTS Speaking Gold course. It's an online course you can find on my website where you can improve your speaking skills so you can face the examiner with confidence. The Gold actually is 3 different courses together for the price of 1. If you go to the website, the Key Speaking Academy, and just click in the top right corner, online courses, and you'll find the information there about the individual courses and about the Gold course, the full course here. If you want more information, you can find out everything here about it. And if you want to join, you can join today. Just click here on the link, or the link. Sometimes it's a bit slow. Oh, I'm already signed in. Ha! So it doesn't work. Not to worry. Let me show you. Let's do it this way, incognito. So when you click on the link here, be patient. Yeah, be very patient. You have to really want it. Wow, it's so slow. Why is it so slow? Have I got too many windows open? Maybe I've got too many windows open. Eventually. You come to basically the payment page. You put in your email address, information to pay. You can pay with PayPal or with credit card. And then you just click here to subscribe. And that's it. Okay. If you're interested, extra ways to practice. Our next live session is actually Thursday this week at 12 o'clock. I'm going to do Never Run Out of Ideas for part 3. So we've been talking about part 2, right? But it's going to be part 3 that we do. I can see Burns has just put the link for the PDF. Thank you so much. That has gone into the chat. You can see it there. Excellent. Good. Guys, I'm going to leave it here for today. I'm going to leave you with a song that comes from the 150 Idioms course. And I'm adding lots of new songs to that. This one is from that course. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining today. And listen, I will see you very, very soon. Maybe Thursday, if you can join, if you can make it. Okay? Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. All the best now.
Samantha worked day and night. Her dreams were always in sight. Final exams were drawing near. She pushed through doubt and fear. Bogged down with work, but she stayed strong. Burning the midnight.
Thank you.
All night long.
And thanks, Bernadette.
Studied her notes till she knew them inside out. Proved to herself what
Welcome,
hard
Serena
work's
and
about.
Christina.
Balancing books and a part-time job. Each day felt like a tiring slog. Juggling
Jamsi,
life, she
download the
wouldn't
PDF
let go.
and start practicing today.
Her determination started to show. Bogged down with work, but
Great
she
to see you, Isabel.
stayed strong. Burning the midnight oil
Leos.
all night long. Studied her notes till she knew them inside out. Proved to herself what hard work's about.
It's in the course. I'm afraid it's only in the 150 Idioms course. You're welcome, Majo.
Last her effort paid its due. She passed her exams and saw it through. Her story shows the strength we find when we clear and focus our mind. Bogged down with work, but she stayed strong. Burning the midnight.
Hi, Rita.
All night long. Studied her notes till she knew them inside out.
Welcome, Stefano.
Proved to herself what hard work's about.
Best of luck. Hope it goes well.
What hard work's about.
I'm waiting.
Bogged down with work, but she stayed strong. Burning the midnight all night long. Studied her notes till she knew them inside out. Proved to herself what hard work's about.
You too, Nadja. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.